always right. It's like when I'm right, I'm right. And when I'm wrong, I could have been right. So I'm still right because I could have been wrong. Man. Two podiums go head to head, laying down their logic. You make a valid point, but I own this topic. Your speech, just go on and drop it. Don't waste my time giving you the facts. That's the bottom line. It's the argument, man. I gotta represent, man. It's the argument, man. Now watch me represent, man. It's the argument, man. I gotta represent, man. It's the argument, man. Now watch me represent, man.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to The Argument. I'm your host, Karen Hollingsworth. Those of you who know Steve and me know that we have a little one who is finishing up the 6th grade virtually. Only 3 days to go. Of course, the past 2 school years were unlike any other due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the abrupt but necessary transition in March 2020 to virtual learning for the vast majority of students nationwide. Now that businesses and our communities are reopening and students have the option of going back into the classroom in the fall, we think it's an optimal time to examine virtual learning and its merits and pitfalls. That's why we're excited about today's debate topic, virtual learning versus in-person instruction. Which method is more effective? For our first timers, The Argument is an online debate show featuring 2 sides of an argument. Our debate will have a winner, and you, the audience, get to decide. You will vote by answering the poll after the debate. Please note, we are recording this session to be shared on other social media platforms later. So here's how it works. Each speaker will have 5 to 7 minutes to make opening arguments. This will be followed by their rebuttals, which are between 3 and 4 minutes. Then our debaters will have 2 to 3 minutes for their closing arguments. Our first debater is Linda Huffman. Our second debater is Dr. Sandra Cooley-Nichols. Now, let's listen to their introductions.
Linda Rice Huffman is a retired elementary school educator. She taught for 37 years, including 25 years of service in the Clark County School District in Las Vegas, Nevada. In addition to teaching grades 2 through 5 and humanities, she served as a liaison on equity and diversity for her school. She previously taught in Texas and Florida. Linda is the mother of 1 daughter and 1 granddaughter who made her a virtual learning grandmother during the COVID-19 pandemic. Linda is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and the Victory Missionary Baptist Church, where she is active in the children's ministry and leader of the Faith Booking Ministry. She is an avid crafter and makes and donates cards to nursing homes and veterans in the Las Vegas community. She is in the process of starting her own crafting business. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Miss Linda Rice Huffman.
Dr. Sandra Cooley-Nichols is Chair and Professor of Instruction and Curriculum Leadership at the University of Memphis. Sandra's research and scholarship are related to the intersections of poverty, education, race, and opportunity. Her expertise is in the areas of Black education in rural and urban spaces. Sandra was recently selected to serve as an academic fellow with the Benjamin Hooks Institute for Social Justice. She is also a Black Education Network blogger and an ISIS paper author. Sandra also consults with school districts and state education agencies on topics such as underrepresentation, overrepresentation, access, addressing the opportunity gap, and special education teacher education. She has been awarded multiple federal, state, and foundation grants and contracts to support this work. Sandra has also conducted numerous professional presentations at the international, national, regional, and local levels, as well as produced scholarly publications. She is passionate about positively impacting systems that greatly affect children of color. Ladies and gentlemen,
Please help me welcome Dr. Sandra Cooley-Nichols.
Ladies and gentlemen, please place your mics on mute and keep them there until the end of our argument. Now, our first debater, Linda Huffman. Please unmute, Linda, and you can start again.
Okay, sorry. I was like, okay. Well, welcome to my virtual classroom. I set this up when my granddaughter had to be homeschooled during the pandemic and wanted to make it as much like a regular classroom as could be. So that's what you see behind me. I'm going to go ahead and start my argument. According to an article that I found in MSU Today, June 4th, 2020, by Christine Greenhow, Associate Professor of Educational Technology in the College of Education at Michigan State, online learning can be as good or even better than in-person classroom learning. Research has shown that students in online learning perform better than those receiving face-to-face instruction. If it is done right. The best online learning combines elements where students go at their own pace, on their own time, and are set up to think deeply and critically about subject matter, combined with elements where students go online at the same time and interact with other students, their teacher, and content. While there are many effective ways to make the virtual learning classroom successful, I will focus on three. To begin with, I'll focus on social interaction. It plays a big part in the life of an elementary school student. We all know that the most important part of the day for an elementary school student is lunch and recess, where they spend most of their interactive time. While some may argue that virtual classrooms hinder this social reaction, there are ways to enhance the social interaction for the students. I believe that the arts, in other words, the specialist teachers, physical education, music, art, humanities, library, and drama all play a part in enhancing social interaction for virtual classrooms. Specialist teachers can be creative and have more opportunity in how they allow students to interact with each other. Additionally, an occasional brain break, allowing students to chat with each other freely for a period of time, can also be beneficial and increase productivity. Furthermore, virtual classrooms in the elementary school allows pupils to learn at their own pace. There is less pressure to catch up or outdo others. Students who are more independent and learn faster do not need to wait to move to the next assignment. The slower, less independent student can have more individual time and assistance from the teacher. Students who work more independently can access their materials online as needed. In the virtual classroom, asynchronous learning gives the independent learner the opportunity to have more control over their learning. Assigned videos, recorded lessons, Khan Academy, and other educational games and websites offer more opportunities to make students more engaged and accountable compared to the time-strapped classrooms where they hide and less hands are raised to participate. This allows more time for the teacher to assist those students who need a more structured environment for their learning experience. In the virtual classroom, the student who needs more structure is able to follow along on a screen with the teacher and see the specific things that are highlighted or what the teacher wants to point out in her lesson without having boundaries. And I referenced that from Steven Singer, Glad Fly on the Wall. Pursuing further, virtual classrooms make it harder for students to disrupt the classroom. The teacher can mute students who are disruptive. Parents can get a firsthand look at their child's behavior in the classroom, which I think is extremely important, because so many times teachers are trying to let parents know about the child's behavior, and they're just not believing what we're saying. So this being able to be there and see what's really going on is a big help. Off-task behavior, such as students watching videos that are not assigned, emailing, chatting, etc., with other students during the asynchronous learning time, can be accessed by the teacher through programs such as Go Guardian and or private chat, private chat with the teacher and the parent. Parents can be notified immediately of such behaviors through emails, text messages, and programs such as Class Dojo when their student misbehaves, without interrupting the flow of asynchronous or synchronous learning times. Increasingly, teachers are reporting that a handful of their students, shy kids, hyperactive kids, highly creative kids, are suddenly doing better with remote learning than they were during the physical class in the physical classroom, because of less distractions from social things. The class clown behavior is better controlled in the virtual classroom because students are able to focus more on their work rather than their peers. And I referenced that from an article in Edutopia by Nora Fleming. In conclusion, virtual learning is the new normal. More than ever, parents must give their children support and be active in their learning experience. In doing so, the virtual learning experience can help students with social interaction with others, learn at their own pace, and keep unwanted behaviors in check. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda, for your opening argument. Next up, Dr. Sandra Cooley-Nichols.
Good afternoon or evening, depending on your time zone. Today, I am arguing that in-person instruction is more effective for the majority of students attending preschool through 12th grade. I'm the parent of a 13 and a 15-year-old, and my husband and I had the opportunity to decide whether or not they would be virtually schooled this year, and we chose virtual school. I'm happy that we had that privilege. However, it was far from perfect. Virtual instruction poses many of the same issues as face-to-face instruction, yet there may be fewer options to improve the situation. Today, what I'm going to do is to focus on 3 areas of evidence-based reasons that support in-person learning. These 3 are children's mental health, academic development, and system infrastructure. With regard to children's mental health, students who have the option of learning face-to-face have the opportunity to become a member of a larger social community. Here they learn to navigate relationships, they build friendships, reevaluate friendships, identify the value of organizations, determine which is ideal for them and what position they want to fill. Additionally, they are exposed to various cultures, groups, and societal norms. Children only spend more time with their immediate family than they do in schools. The values that are taught at home are paired with the classroom and school expectations, which provides students with a safe place to practice their skills. These interactions are a part of children's development. Furthermore, isolation is often difficult for children. People, we know that community is important. This need for community is documented by psychologists, sociologists, and religions worldwide. Parents or caregivers are then put into the position of being educators when their children are virtually instructed. They have to frequently check in on them and redirect them throughout the day. They have to calm anxiety when unexpected glitches occur, such as printer failure during a quiz or exam, and internet outages that cause students to miss valuable instruction. After they have performed these duties all day, then they're responsible for ensuring that homework and projects are completed. This puts a different perspective or twist on the relationship between parents and students. They don't have the opportunity to be the support for the student and to give them encouragement if they struggled through the day, or cheer them on if they had a great day, and then support them through their projects and homework. They are now teaching them throughout the day and now engaging with them in the projects and homework. In addition to that, we look at students who have struggled in school and we think, well, my child is being held back because the teacher has to reteach information that other students need. This too is a learning moment, because even us as adults, the way we work is impacted by our health, our ability, our motivation. We learn to work with all types of people because, just like family, we do not get to choose who we work with, only how we react to them. We learn how to assist those that are struggling. We learn how to enhance our knowledge and skill despite the lulls in our productivity. We learn to navigate our paths. Again, this is what our children do in face-to-face school settings. In such, they are exposed to diverse people in settings that expand their social emotional intelligence. Academically, these students are going to strive in that setting because they have the teachers and the supports and the resources around them. Another thing to think about regarding mental health, Dr. Bach published 5 tips for reducing screen time in the Mayo Clinic Journal in 2019 prior to COVID. And what she said was, children should not engage in more than 2 hours of screen time per day. Headaches and difficulty concentrating are side effects of too much screen time. Additionally, some students are accessing screen devices where lighting is not ideal. They are often sitting in positions that lead to chronic body aches. In virtual settings, teachers have to monitor students closely for understanding. This can be difficult. They also have to redirect students off task behavior. Imagine preparing your lesson, pouring everything you have into creating an engaging lesson, and you begin your delivery to a static screen. Pictures and no individuals there, black boxes. This is the daily reality for teachers. I too experienced this. This spring I taught a class. Most of the time my students' cameras were off. I can't see their faces. I can't see their body language to know if I need to restate something, to say it a different way, if they actually get it, if they're paying attention. However, I'm not going to ask them to turn on their cameras or demand that they turn on their cameras because there may be something in their environment that they do not want me to see. The virtual environment opens up our homes to individuals, and it puts us in a different space for vulnerability. In addition, as I bridge from mental health into academics, some students are in unsafe environments at home. In addition to that, they may only get their only hot meal at school. Vanderbilt conducted a study, and of that study, the most concern for teachers was their students' well-being. Schools are designed to be traditional face-to-face in most instances. If we have a Fortune 500 company that wants to change their infrastructure and their way of delivering, they're going to look at their data, they're going to analyze it, prioritize, and set the goals, and then they're going to put a strategic plan in place that will move them over a certain period of time to a different delivery structure. COVID threw us into virtual instruction. Many teachers were not prepared for virtual instruction. Virtual instruction can be done well with the right training and preparation. There's no way that we prepared all of our teachers for that, and our students often suffer. Dr. Cliff Mims, an instructional technology professor and author of many manuscripts, journal articles, and chapters, said that technology is a tool. When used effectively, it can move students. However, it is to support instruction, not to replace instruction. In a face-to-face setting, we can have both online and hybrid instruction and achieve the academic gains that we need. In closing, Ms. Jacqueline Easton responded to one of the advertisements for this actual session. She wasn't prompted to do so, but I noticed that she put this information in, so I'd like to share it. She shared that in-person instruction is more effective. There are too many distractions at home. Most students do not have the support they need at home to do an assignment. One-on-one guidance is sometimes necessary for a kid to understand a concept, and practice will take place more in person. Ms. Eason is a practicing teacher. So one, I'd like to close by saying mental health is very important when it comes to our children, determining whether we should provide face-to-face or virtual instruction. The academic well-being, growth, and development is very important, and our infrastructure is not set for virtual instruction to take place in most settings.
Thank you, Sandra. The rebuttals are next. Once again, here is Linda Huffman. Please unmute, Linda. We can't hear you.
Okay.
There you go.
I thought you would be able to unmute me. I don't know why. But thank you, Dr. Nichols, for that, for your comments and information on the in-person learning. However, I have one point I'd like to make about the infrastructure. While being aware that we were kind of thrown into the pandemic and having students go immediately from regular in-person classroom learning to virtual learning, I think that did a lot to a lot of people. As a teacher, as a retired teacher, I was really glad not to be in that situation. But I was really glad to see when I started having my own granddaughter at home, being able to see what really goes on in the classroom. And although the last, we were in Clark County School District, we were taken out of the classroom in, I believe it was February, and the kids were at home to continue their school year. That was very difficult because, like you said, teachers were really not prepared. But I think that in the new school year, they had some kind of training. They had, so this year of 2021 school year, they had a little training. They had worked out some situations. They tried to make sure that students had, the equipment that they need. Companies in Las Vegas would offer internet access for students who have lower incomes. I think that it was because it was something that was really thrown on us without having a preparation time. I believe that some schools did a pretty good job, at least for the school that my granddaughter went to. I watched some of the lessons. I prepared a classroom for her to make it as much like her classroom as possible. I watched how the specialist teachers in the sessions that she did with her teachers with small groups and large groups worked, where the teacher was always on it with what the students were doing, having the small groups. And if there was any need for them to have extra help, there was extra help that was provided through something if the teacher was not available at that time. There was always time where the kids could go in and raise their hand, even if the teacher was in a small group. So I think that just with more training, the students in a virtual classroom can have the same type of a learning situation with a lot less distractions from things that do happen in the classroom, and not having to keep on that very tight schedule of the bell, the it's time to go to lunch now, we got to stop, those type of things. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Now, Dr. Nichols.
Thank you, Ms. Huffman, for sharing information on virtual, the benefits of virtual instruction. Both of my children were virtually in school this year. One had a very good response from her teachers and did well and was highly supported. However, she still struggled with not being around her friends socially, not having that interaction and that engagement. My son, in a very good school as well, had a more difficult time with the virtual instruction. The teachers struggled more with virtual instruction and how to change some of the activities and assignments. So I've seen it on both sides, and I believe the inconsistencies are the things that we have to take into consideration. In addition to that, because of where I'm located, I've noticed that the urban schools were able to provide additional access to internet. However, the rural schools were not. Some of the rural schools experience instability on a daily basis. And with more students or all students at one point being online, the infrastructures just were not able to uphold it. So it's not only the school infrastructures, but our city infrastructures. When we first went to virtual learning last spring, the systems would slow down so much because 30% of parents were working from home. All of the children were studying from home. And the systems were so slow that there were times that we couldn't get on, and when we could get on, the wheels were just spinning. So that and fear of some of the things that happen in school, in homes, talking with teachers and seeing videos that went viral of some of the inappropriate behavior that occurs in these homes during virtual instruction. Everything from naked individuals walking behind the screen, individuals taking drugs on screen, cursing loudly, someone attempting to sexually assault children. Sometimes the safest place for a child is school, and having that option for them is really, really important. That's my rebuttal.
It's now time for our closing arguments. Linda, please start us off. Start for us again, Linda. Unmute.
I'm sorry, I just can't.
It's okay.
As I was saying, that's not going to be very long, but I just want to say that from referencing from study.com and from an article I was reading from the fall issue of 2020 issue of Cerebrum magazine, virtual learning is the new norm since the pandemic. And I think that the only thing that's going to help us is to make sure that we don't get caught in this not being prepared in case something else happens. We don't know that the pandemic is totally over. We have to be prepared, and we have to understand that what all of the needs, just like what we have talked about, are very valid. The needs for children to be together, the needs for there to be more individual attention, the needs for them to make sure that they're having just those basic things that they need to succeed in school. So whether it's going to be virtual school or in-person school, I think that the virtual school provides just as much for children as the public school will, because it's important to remember that children are going to be learning all the time, inside and outside the classroom. It just happens to be that information we don't traditionally test them on is what they're learning at home. They're going to learn continuously in the fall too, no matter which way they have to go, but we have to be prepared for this virtual learning. And I think that if people would prepare themselves for the just in case, then it would be more successful with the virtual learning classrooms at home. And that goes for teachers and parents alike.
Thank you. Sandra, your closing argument, please.
My closing argument will be brief. I believe that children learn how to negotiate spaces better when they're face-to-face. When they're in face-to-face environments, they use online resources, but those online resources aren't their sole means of learning. It is a tool that supports their learning. So hybrid instruction is definitely an option, but we get so much from the online, the face-to-face interaction. In closing, Vanderbilt University just did a study, a schooling study, as a result of COVID-19 of schools throughout the state of Tennessee. And their findings were that students felt supported by teachers who struggled with virtual learning. Students felt supported, but had struggles with virtual learning. There was chronic absenteeism, and it increased. Enrollment dropped, and withdrawals and transfers increased. Teacher retention rate increased, but they were concerned about burnout. Teachers also expressed concern about caring for their own children or other loved ones during instruction. So with all those things in place, we don't have an infrastructure at this time that supports virtual learning for the masses so that we can be successful and ensure that our students are developing the way that they need to develop. There is great concern about increasing gaps, especially among students where there were already gaps identified prior to the pandemic. So as we plan and move forward, we can incorporate more learning tools, including virtual learning. But as we move forward, we need to make sure that we do not lose anyone and that face-to-face is our best option right now.
There is nothing left to be said. The arguments have been made, and now it's time for you, our audience, to choose our winner. But before we do, please unmute yourselves and let's give our debaters a round of applause.
Hey, her pink and green room, Alex.
Very good job.
It's walking.
Thank you for the audience participation.
Great job, ladies.
Now, audience, the time has come. Please answer the question on the poll and let your voice be heard. While the audience is voting, let's hear a little more from our debaters. Miss Linda, please unmute. I have a question for you. You were the virtual learning grandmother. So what's your next big project?
Well, it all depends on whether, well, we're going to send her back to school, I believe, because of circumstances. This is her last year at her elementary school. She's a 5th grader, my granddaughter. So my next big project is to, first of all, take down this classroom in here if she's going back to school, because, you know, it's been complete with maps and everything that she could possibly have in a regular classroom. But we'll still give her that support at home, however, you know, she needs to have it. I am her grandmother, who is a retired teacher, who will always kind of be on top of whatever she's doing to see that she's doing what she should be doing. And what she doesn't realize is that grandma taught the last 10 years in 5th grade, which is the grade she's going to. So it's going to be, that's my next biggest project, to see that she's staying up with the 5th grade curriculum and doing whatever it is she has to do in her classroom so that she can be successful, whether it's virtual or in person.
Thank you for that. And Dr. Nichols, I have a question for you. What's a key takeaway that you hope the audience learned from your presentation today?
that our children's mental health is very important. Oftentimes we are stressed as adults and we're thinking about all of the responsibilities that we have and things that we have to consider as we plan for how we're going to deal with the next pandemic or whatever is going on in our lives. And oftentimes we think that the children should just be resilient and move along, but they have the same concerns, the same fears, the same stresses that we do. And they may not know how to express them to us fully, but we need to listen, observe them, and reassure them that things are going to be all right and that they have a support network that will make sure that they are okay.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Well, it is official. The polls are closed and we have a winner. But before I make the announcement, I'd like to thank you again, Linda Huffman and Dr. Sandra Cooley-Nichols, for participating in this debate. You both made thoughtful, well-researched arguments for each teaching method. And now, without further ado, the winner of the argument today is, I don't have a drum roll, but you can hear it in your mind, Linda Huffman.
Yay!
Yay!
And it was very close. Very close. You both did an excellent job. Linda, congratulations. And a trophy will be coming your way, compliments of the argument. Now, would you like to say a few words, or is there anyone you would like to thank?
I would like to thank Dr. Nichols, because I really appreciate all of the information, especially the information about mental health, because I did see some of those things. My granddaughter is an only child, and I did see some of those things that you were saying in your comments about the mental health state of the children that are virtual at school, virtual schools. And sometimes it was hard, sometimes it was not, being able to not go to play sports, not being able to do things. But what I appreciate was the fact that her teachers and at their school, the specialists did play a big part in giving the kids the interactions that they need. I observed her doing PE in the room. I provided her with instruments for music class, and there were times that I could hear her talking with the other students. So the teacher must have given them brain breaks and they would just be talking about whatever. So I think that it really depends on how we prepare ourselves if we ever have to get in this situation again, where the schools are all virtual. So, and I just really appreciate all of your information. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you both again. And thank you to our audience for participating with us today and for joining us for this episode of The Argument. If you have a topic you would like to see us debate, or you'd like to be one of our debaters, send us an email at theargument@gmail.com. Please make sure to be here next time for another great debate, guaranteed to bring out the argument in you. God bless.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Great job, Linda.
Thank you.
I'm always right. It's like when I'm right, I'm right. And when I'm wrong, I could have been right. So I'm still right because I could have been wrong. Man. Two podiums go head to head, laying down their logic. You make a valid point, but I own this topic. Your speech, just go on and drop it. Don't waste my time giving you the facts. That's the bottom line. It's the argument, man. I gotta represent, man. It's the argument, man. Now watch me represent, man. It's the argument, man. I gotta represent, man. It's the argument, man. Now watch me represent, man.